Nigeria's Senate has passed the Electoral Act, Repeal and Enactment, Bill 2026, but its decision to reject a proposal mandating real-time electronic upload of election results from polling units has sparked widespread criticism from opposition parties, civil society groups and pro-democracy advocates. The controversial decision, taken during clause-by-clause consideration of the bill, effectively retained the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 on results transmission. Under the retained law, election results are to be electronically transmitted in a manner as prescribed by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), rather than through a compulsory real-time upload to the INEC Result Viewing (IReV) portal. Many stakeholders had expected the Senate to strengthen the law by explicitly mandating presiding officers to upload polling unit results immediately after counting, a reform widely viewed as crucial to curbing manipulation and restoring confidence in Nigeria's electoral process. The Senate's action followed a 2023 Supreme Court judgment which held that electronic transmission of results was not mandatory under the Electoral Act 2022. In that ruling, the apex court affirmed that INEC has the discretion to determine the mode of transmission and clarified that the IReV portal was designed for public viewing, not collation. The court further ruled that failure to upload results to IReV did not invalidate an election, a decision that formed part of the judgment affirming President Bola Tinubu's election victory. During deliberations on the 2026 bill, senators voted down a recommendation by the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters that sought to compel presiding officers to upload polling unit results to IReV in real time. Instead, lawmakers adopted the existing Section 60 of the 2022 Act, which allows INEC to prescribe the method of electronic transmission after results are announced at polling units and moved to higher collation levels. The rejection came as a surprise to many observers, especially as the House of Representatives had passed a similar provision 2 months earlier. Drawing praise from election stakeholders, senators opposed to the amendment argued that codifying real-time transmission could create operational challenges, particularly in areas with poor network coverage. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Adeyemi Adaramodu, described the disagreement as largely semantic, questioning who would define real-time, and warning against what he termed unnecessary technical ambiguity. Under the retained provision, presiding officers are required to count votes at polling units, record results on prescribed forms, announce them publicly, distribute copies to party agents and security personnel where available, and transmit the results electronically as directed by INEC. Violations attract penalties of up to 500,000 Nigerian nairas, or a minimum of 6 months imprisonment. The rejected proposal would have imposed similar penalties but explicitly required immediate upload to IReV after signing Form EC-8A. Beyond results transmission, the Senate approved several significant amendments to the electoral framework. These include reducing the notice period for elections from 360 days to 180 days before the end of an administration's tenure, cutting deadlines for political parties to submit candidates lists from 120 days to 90 days, and reducing the nomination period from 180 days to 90 days. Lawmakers also increased the fine for unlawful possession of voters cards from 500,000 Nigerian nairas to 5 million Nigerian nairas, but rejected a proposal to impose a 10-year ban from political activities for vote buying. The Senate formally removed the smart card reader from the law and replaced it with the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS. While retaining electronic transmission of results, the bill further clarifies consequences for candidates disqualified for submitting false documents, barring parties from replacing such candidates after elections and providing for fresh polls excluding the affected candidate and party where necessary. Proceedings were briefly disrupted by a dispute over the composition of the Senate's Conference Committee, which will harmonize the Senate and House versions of the bill. Northern senators protested the initial exclusion of Senator Simon Lalong, chairman of the Electoral Matters Committee. Senate President Godswill Akpabio resolved the matter by naming Lalong as chairman of the Conference Committee, diffusing tensions in the chamber. Akpabio insisted that claims the Senate had rejected electronic transmission were misleading. He said the chamber merely retained provisions that worked in 2022, stressing that electronic transmission of results remains part of the law. The Harmonization Committee, chaired by Lalong, includes senators drawn from all geopolitical zones and is expected to submit a reconciled version of the bill within the month, ahead of presidential assent. Reacting to the Senate's decision, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, condemned the rejection of mandatory real-time electronic transmission, describing it as a setback for democratic consolidation. In a statement, the party said the decision ignored the wishes of Nigerians, who desire greater electoral transparency, and warned that failure to strengthen safeguards could deepen voter apathy ahead of future elections. With the bill now passed at third reading, attention has shifted to the Conference Committee and the final shape of Nigeria's electoral framework as the country prepares for its next general election.
Stay informed and ahead of the curve. Follow Earth News for real-time updates, breaking news, and exclusive content. Don't miss a headline.